speaking, Vivek Ramaswamy briefly mentioned the issue of large influx of illegal immigrants coming to America and how it is affecting our economy and everyday Americans and everything that we do. And his solution for this was to send back all illegal aliens. So I wanted to present to you the circumstance that I have seen that has affected me in the state of Texas, where there are children that come here with their families at a very young age when they're not old enough to make that decision to come here legally or illegally. So while they're here, they're subject to the jurisdiction of the American government under public education systems. They receive their education here, and they are influenced by our culture here, and this is the only language and experience that they have in society. So with them being sent back, it would obviously be detrimental for them. So what is your opinion of this, and how would you handle that situation?
I'm going to predict this, okay? Republicans are incredibly callous and just have no empathy, and this becomes really apparent when talking about illegal immigration, because these American-loving patriots usually are advocating to send back illegal immigrants, even though illegal immigrants commit less crime on average, pay a ton into Social Security, they pay more into social services than they take out, they benefit our overall economy. Despite all of these things, rather than wanting to perhaps legalize the people that are already here illegally so that we can make sure they're not criminals, so that we don't have dangerous people here, and also don't hurt our economy. Why can't we do that? They don't care. It's just deport. And that's what I'm guessing he's going to say, but we'll see.
Well, I would say just the obvious point first, since they call me Captain Obvious, that whenever you move large groups of people from one place to another, particularly if they don't want to move, there's a lot of suffering. That's true when people come here illegally. Ask anyone who's made it to the Darien Gap, you know. A lot of people die. Most women are, I mean, the whole thing's a disaster. Mass movements of people are bad, okay, in general. So there's that. If you did that, you would cause some suffering. No doubt. It's gone on too long. On the other hand, I don't really see how we have a choice. Because how can you say you're a nation of laws if people from other countries don't have to obey your laws? And you really...
Oh my God, it's even worse. It's even worse than what he was gonna say. Sorry, what I predicted was not even as bad. He's like, so yeah, it's gonna cause a ton of suffering. Yup, there's gonna be a lot of sick, horrible things that happen, you know? But we really have no choice because we said it's the law, LOL. What about the kids that came here? You know, you can change the law. You're a nation of laws. Like, we're a nation of laws, but we're also a nation that can adapt and adjust the laws accordingly. That's one of the main things about the Constitution, which is why conservative types will sometimes say that the Constitution is a living, breathing document because it changes. It adapts. Laws can adapt and change. So maybe this is evidence that the law should change. If you have a large group of people and you're acknowledging it would do a ton of damage and harm and cause a great deal of suffering to try and move that large group of people, and that large group of people being here aren't causing any harm when they're overwhelmingly lower crime, contributing to the economy, etc. They're saying because we have this law, and because we just must stick to the law, I guess, therefore, this is what's happening now. It's funny because Republicans really didn't have this approach when it came to Roe v. Wade. They really had no issue then saying, well, f the law. We should change the law then. We're going to overturn the law. They had no problem doing that. But when it comes to illegal immigrants, no, they're just going to, they're literally fine. The audience is applauding the unnecessary inflicting of suffering upon a large group of people that otherwise were doing nothing but benefiting the country. You realize that if you legalized them and gave them citizenship, you could then make sure that they're obeying your country's laws.
I really don't know what to say. I mean, if I break the law, or if you break the law, especially now that they found out you came here, you know, you're going to be held to that standard ruthlessly. I mean, I have a friend, Peter Navarro, is about to go to prison for not responding to a subpoena from Liz Cheney and her fake committee Hunter Biden does it. It's like totally cool. It's Hunter Biden is cool.
Okay, is Tucker Carlson on drugs? He seems like out of it or something. Also, he's saying things in this like calm sort of way, but then they're sounding incredibly aggressive at the same time when he's like, you better hope. I mean, if you're here illegally, you know, that law is going to hold you accountable ruthlessly. It's like, oh my God. Jeesh.
So like, yes, if you want to restore the country to where it needs to be, which is a fair country, fairness is the goal, okay, fairness, which means universal principles universally applied, then you have to be serious about your laws and probably need like far fewer laws. We could probably get rid of...
You could just change the law. He's trying to dilute it into this big philosophical, well, if we allow one law to be broken, blah, blah, blah. Again, they had no problem not following the law or advocating to overturn the law when it came to abortion issues. They were all against the law then. Now that it's illegal immigrants, they must follow the law as if it's the breathed word of God or something.
99% of laws. I've got a lot of kids. I don't have a lot of laws in my house. You know, can't smoke weed at the dinner table or whatever. You know, like the obvious ones. I don't need a law
Tucker's been smoking weed then.
for that. So, but anyway, the point is, you degrade your country and its justice system when you allow tens of millions of people to break the law without punishment, okay? The second thing I just know from...
Then maybe there could be a different kind of punishment. Then maybe it should be, now that you're here, you are, I don't know, obligated to take some kind of a course, right? Or something like that, while you're being given your citizenship or something.
The second thing I just know from traveling a lot is that I'm not sure how it helps any country to have its most ambitious people leave. And the funny thing, if I can just say, about American liberals is they're so convinced that their system is superior, they're like, well, you know, of course, anyone living here in some depressing suburb of Houston on food stamps has a much better life than someone in El Salvador. Well, actually, I've been in El Salvador a lot. It's pretty great. And I'm not convinced it's the worst place to raise your kids right now, to be honest. But more to the point, how is that compassionate? Syria had a civil war, and like almost every single doctor in Syria left and went to the West. Oh, a new life for the doctors. Well, what about people who still live in Syria? They don't have any doctors. And if you talk to anyone who runs one of these so-called third world...
Wait, what? So he's saying that because... So is he acknowledging then that illegal immigrants are incredibly ambitious? Because it's also true that illegal immigrants actually, or I'm sorry, immigrants, on average, start more businesses than native-born Americans as well. So is he acknowledging this and being like, they just need that ambition back in their own country? What? He's like packaging this like bigoted sort of mindset, this like go back to your own country thing. Not to mention how many people here are here illegally because they were fleeing suffering and torture from their own country. Just sending them back, what does that do?
Countries, some of which are pretty nice, I gotta be honest. They're a lot better than downtown LA. We're always like, oh, it's so third world. Really? They have none of that in El Salvador. None. There's no one on the street. They have families. Like, it's embarrassing to have your relatives beg. They have no murders. Like, the third world is not, I mean, everyone should visit, just to, like, give you a little bit of perspective on, say, Baltimore. But if you talk to people who run these countries, they're like, all the people with the most ambition take off. Like, that's terrible for us. We're losing a whole generation. The brain.
Maybe that shows that the country is not accommodating the ambition. What? So he's literally being like, yeah, a lot of these immigrants might be fleeing and they're really ambitious. And, you know, we hear the third world and think it's bad, but it's actually not that bad, dude. Clearly it's bad because you have all these people who have so much ambition and motivation, and they're leaving. If your country wasn't abysmal, or if there wasn't some big, deeper underlying problem, then why are all of your ambitious, motivated people taking off? It can't even accommodate them.